Hey, what's up, men? It's Nylan from SurrenderedStrength.com, and you are listening to Surrendered Strength Radio. Welcome back to those of you that have been here before, and welcome to all the new listeners. Thank you for stopping by, and I'm excited for you to be here as we continue to move forward and continue to strengthen ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually. That is what we are about at SurrenderedStrength.com. And not only strengthening ourselves, but also using our strengths, our physical, our mental, and our spiritual strengths to help others, to encourage others, and honor God as we live our lives. So, as we move forward and continue to strengthen ourselves, I want to remind you to or leave that like and give me a rating on the podcast, and step over to surrenderedstrength.com and get connected there so that you can get blogs, podcasts, and exclusive deals all sent right to your inbox. And a couple other things to just make you guys aware of. Myself and Steve from the Reformed State of Man, we are putting together a Bible study for 8 to 10 guys. If you are interested, please contact me. We are planning on starting February 1st. So when this comes out, you may have about a week or two to get in. So if you are interested, just send me a message on Instagram or email through the website. However, but we will be going through the book of John, and spots are limited as we are only having 8 to 10 guys join. So if you're interested, let me know. Now, as we move forward, we are halfway, a little over halfway through January, and men, the New Year's resolutions are starting to wear off. So my question is, where's your focus? What is keeping you focused? And this past week, I've had some time to do some things that I've been wanting to do for a very, very long time, and it just seemed like time was always against me. That I just needed a little more time, and I ended up being blessed with some time this past week to just do things that I wanted to do, that have been in my heart to do. And a couple of those things were to make some deer jerky, which I did and turned out successful. That'll be one of the first things, or that was the first thing that I ever dehydrated. I mean, the process isn't hard. It's just mixing some cure and seasoning in the meat, putting it in the dehydrator, walking away. So, the process isn't hard, but you kind of have to have the time. I let it sit for 6 to 8 hours. So you kind of have to have the day to be able to let it sit and check it a little bit. So that was one thing that I was able to do. Another thing that I'm still working on is tanning a hide of the deer that I shot last year. Now I have another hide that I want to tan also, but this is the first one. It's the hide of the first deer that I ever shot with a bow, and still the only deer that I've ever shot with a bow. So it's kind of cool to do and learn new things as you're trying new things, and just trying out the things that are on your hearts. I believe that each and every one of us has desires put on our hearts by God. And one of the desires for me is to just live in a way that is natural, and in a way that I can put my faith and trust in God, that He will provide, but I'm also going to be focusing on providing and being sustainable and not having to depend too much on, or as little as possible, on stores and what have you. Now, at the same time, I also believe in community and being able to help other people, but I firmly believe that each of us should be able to provide for themselves in many ways, not just financially. So that's just one of the ways that I've wanted to learn and grow over the past couple of years, and I finally had the opportunity to just take some time to tan my first deer hide, and it's been an interesting experience. Right now, it is sitting in some oil, and in a couple days I'll have to take it apart, not apart, but take it off the board and just finish finish it, and I'll have to update you guys on how it goes. You can check out surrender.strength on Instagram to see some pictures of the process thus far. Now, as I was saying, God I believe God has put desires in our hearts to live in a way that honors and glorifies Him. And this past week, as I've been trying new things, one of the things that just a theme, kind of the theme for the week was, what is that thing that you're doing or that you've wanted to do that's on your heart that you haven't done? What is that thing, and when are you going to do it? I know for me, I can fully admit that part of the reason I I don't or hadn't done the tanning of the hide was, I didn't want to mess it up, because like I said, it was the first deer I ever shot with a bow. There's a little sentimental value there, and I didn't want to mess it up. At this point, I know that it's not going to be perfect from the start. This deer that again I shot in fall of 2020, that it's kind of been a relearning process for me. It had been years since I had killed a deer, and again that was the first one with the bow, so that was a cool learning experience, and getting back to the roots of processing the deer, the gutting aspect and the skinning. I know I can admit that it was not done in a way that was, it didn't look pretty. Let me just put it that way. It did not look pretty, and anybody that has been around skinning and the processing of animals will be able to tell you that what I had done was not pretty. But I got it done, and now I'm on the process of actually tanning. And like I said, one of the reasons was time, that I had not started or attempted this process. But another one was I didn't want to fail. But at the same time, my life has been a walk with failure. The reason I'm where I am today is because I have failed numerous times. And the first time I remember that failing was a benefit in a way was ninth grade wrestling season, when I lost a match, and the next day the coach pulled me into their little office and showed me the video of what happened, the video of the match, and we just talked about what went well, what didn't go well, what I could have done better. And that had never happened before. Never in my life had someone just showed me what I did wrong, on a video anyway, and just pointed out, like, hey, this is where you messed up, this is where you could have done better. And from that point forward, I was like, I've learned more by failing than by winning, because when you win, you don't get as much feedback. You still get some, but you don't get as much, because you won. So failing has been a big part of who I am and where I've come from and how I've got to where I am. I'm not going to step away from attempting, or I'm not going to worry about failing moving forward. There's definitely been times where I have, allowed the idea of failing to stop me from trying things. At least if it hasn't stopped me, it's definitely delayed me. I can admit that. So that's just been a theme for the week, and it's been on my heart, and I want to encourage you guys to do what's on your heart. You got to listen to what's on your heart. And that's how this year has to go. We have to do what's on our heart, and we have to do it in a way that is mission minded, is what I like to call it, and have a mission driven life. So, what does that look like to have a mission driven life? It starts out with simply listening to your heart. Listening to what God has put on your heart. And as I mentioned, I believe that God has put a desire, a vision in each of our hearts. It's something that we want to do, and how we want to live. Something that we want to pursue in this life. I believe that each one of us has that desire to do something good, to be greater than simply average, greater than someone that just goes to work, comes home, goes to work, comes home, goes to work, and dies. You know, there's more to life. You know that. I know that. And God has put something on your heart that you have wanted to do for a long time. And maybe, just maybe, you have forgot about it, or you have just suppressed it because you didn't feel like it was something that you could do, whether it's right now or ever. And I've been there too. It's not a good place to be, because when we suppress those desires in our hearts to honor God, we are ultimately killing our soul. And we get into what looks like depression and addiction, and we are not living in a way that honors and glorifies God when we get to that point. So men, whether you have suppressed those desires in your hearts to do something good, something great, something godly, or whether you're just delaying that opportunity, I encourage you to listen to your hearts, to do what God has called you to do. I don't know what that is, but I know that there is something on your heart that God has called you to do. So that's the first thing for living a mission driven life. Number 2 is allowing God to lead. This one is just as hard as the first one. Just as hard as listening to your heart is allowing God to lead through your heart. When we do allow God to lead, we are stepping away from comfort and from the known into the unknown. When you step away from the control that most of us want, most of us have in this world, we are giving God control and letting him lead. And you might have an idea of the direction you're going, but there's going to be some interesting things along the way that you're going to see, you're going to learn. That doesn't mean you are not being taken care of. Just because you're getting uncomfortable doesn't mean God's not watching over and protecting you. So as we allow God to lead, we are stepping away from comfort and from the known into the unknown. And life with God leading is an adventure. It's not a Sunday cruise. It's a hike up a mountain and through a deep, dark wilderness. There's going to be times when you don't know what's going to happen or how you're going to get through the situation, but God gets you through it somehow, some way. There's an analogy where life with God is like being with Indiana Jones or being Indiana Jones's assistant, where you're going to go to the brink of believing that you're probably going to die in this next part, but somehow Indiana Jones always comes out alive, and his partner or assistant, whoever it is, comes out on the other side better off. And that's very similar to living a life allowing God to lead. It's going to be an adventure. And God is a God of process. Just like with me hunting and relearning all of the things that I learned when I was growing up from processing the deer and relearning how to hunt basically when I started bow hunting. And now the process of processing meat and tanning a hide, where you do something, then there's a pause, a waiting period, then you're doing something again, and then there's a pause, a waiting period. God is a God of process. We have to just allow him to do what he's doing, even though we don't see what is actually going on. God is a God of process. So again, a mission-driven life includes listening to our hearts, allowing God to lead, and it's going to be a process. So what exactly does a mission-driven life look like as we listen to our hearts and allow God to lead? What is the mission, the ultimate purpose, I believe, for every desire that you have, that I have, that every man has? The ultimate mission, or the point of the mission, is to honor and glorify God. That is the ultimate end of the mission. And how do we fulfill this mission? We do it just as Jesus did. We do it through love, we do it through mercy, and we do it through grace. Now, what is it going to look like? It's going to look different. I can't tell you exactly what your mission is going to look like in this world, in this life. I can give you ideas and give you pointers and give you experiences from my life, but your desires are going to be different than mine, and that's good, because if we all have the same desires, then it's going to be a pretty boring life, and not a lot is going to get accomplished, and there's going to be a lot of people that would be missing out on a lot of love, mercy, and grace, because everyone's going to be focusing on one area. So I don't know what exactly your mission is or entails. Only you do. Only your heart knows. Only God knows and will tell you through your heart. But I do know that part of your mission is going to include a battle. And the battle starts from the beginning of listening to your heart. Satan is going to try to tell you that it's pointless or silly to listen to your heart. He's going to try and trick you to believing you're hearing what's in your heart, when really it's coming from your head and coming from your false self. So that is the beginning of the battle. And as you continue to walk with God, those battles change. They will change, because you will begin to hear God's voice through your heart, and you will be able to recognize it and recognize when it's not his voice. But as you move forward and recognize his voice, the battle changes, and you're going to be called a fake. You're going to be called so many different things from your false self, and you're going to want to believe, or you're going to try to be made to believe that you are not good enough, you don't have what it takes. And ultimately, God has already proven you have what it takes by giving you the desire that's in your heart, by leading you, by letting you know that he is with you and he wants you to do the thing that's on your heart. He already has told you that you have what it takes. That is when you walk with him. So there will be a battle. There will be a time to battle, a time to love, and a time to step out into faith. You are not going to know every step. You are not going to know every next move, and you are not going to know a lot of things. But when you step out into faith and just allow God to lead you, you will have the things that you need on your journey, on your mission in this life. Now again, this is going to look different because maybe you're a police officer, maybe you're a boat maker, maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're a coach, maybe you're just a father. It doesn't matter what you do. All that matters is that you know you have a desire and a mission in your heart, and that you are pursuing that mission. You are fulfilling that mission that God has called you to fulfill. So men, I encourage you to listen to your heart, to take time to hear God's voice through your heart, and definitely do not suppress those desires in your heart, because God will work miracles through you when you move towards those desires in a honorable and godly way. Now you will know, I know there's lots of talk about desire and how desire is bad, but you will know if your desire is a godly desire or not. And if you don't know, I would suggest that you look in Scripture and follow or read the life of Jesus and see if what the desire in your heart is and how it aligns with Jesus's mission and his life on earth, because that is a great example of a mission-driven life. Jesus lived a mission-driven life. He came here. He came with a sword, not to bring peace. He came to conquer the devil. He came to conquer this world for each and every one of us, for our salvation. So I encourage you to read the New Testament, read Jesus' life. If you are unsure what a mission-driven life looks like, because that's a pretty dang good example. And again, as you move forward, you're listening to your heart. You're allowing God to lead, and you are fulfilling your mission to honor and glorify God. That's it for today, men. You have what it takes. I believe it. God knows it, because He has given you that mission for a reason, because you're the only one to fulfill it. You can do it. If you need help, if you need encouragement, contact me, and we can walk through your journey together, and we will figure out your mission, and you will honor and glorify God. Get over to surrenderedstrength.com. Send me a message. Check out surrendered.strength on Instagram, and let's fulfill the desires in your heart and live your mission. Now, again, before I end it, just want to remind you, we are doing a Bible study, 8 to 10 men. We already have a couple spots filled up, so we're going to be walking through the book of John. So I encourage you, that's starting February 1st, so I encourage you to get in touch with myself so you can get in, and you will see through the book of John a mission-driven life and how you can begin to live your mission and live out the desires of your heart. Until next time, men, strengthen yourself, encourage others, and honor God.